Well, thank you so much for having us over to your home in the woods. I'm so excited. I've read a lot of your books, and I'm curious. Well, one of the things that I love about your writing is your curiosity for things in nature. And you've written about birds and insects, and I have a book of yours about trees on your property. How do you select what to be curious about enough to put your energy in to create a book?
That's a good question. I think a lot of it has to do with being there all the time. And after a while, some things stand out. And, this is something I kind of deal with all the time. Am I going to watch this caterpillar or that? And I think the more interesting things are the ones that are unexpected, and that's where I usually find my most enthusiasm, if hadn't even thought about it. And then it kind of relates to prior knowledge, in the sense that as a biologist, since a kid, I've had a lot of experience, and so some things will stand up more than others, because after a while, what's very common, you start to ignore. And if suddenly a bald eagle shows up here, I'm very excited, but it might be a caterpillar too, one that I haven't known. I mean, like even now, new things come up all the time, and like this spring, I was expecting the tent caterpillars to be all around, and I've had a lot of, I started to ignore them totally after a while because there's so many of them. But then it turned out this year they were acting all different, and I was totally baffled. Something is different here. And it turned out it's a fall webworm, and it's a different caterpillar, but they make this same kind of webs. Like I hung some up there, I broke some off from the tree, and I'm kind of watching them, see what's going on. So, that's how it goes. Something shows up that's different, that I hadn't seen before, and then I get interested in it. And if I didn't have the experience, then everything would be the same.
But what is it that's standing out to you now? What are you working on right now?
It started, a little bit with mice, what I'm doing with now, and it's always the unexpected things. And sometimes it takes a while before you figure out what's going on, and that's what makes it fun. Anyway, I woke up one night, and something felt like it was on my face, and I said, well, obviously I'm in bed. There's nothing here going on my face, so this I must have had a hallucination. But it turned out, as I later found out, that a mouse ran across my face. And I thought it was a hallucination because that doesn't happen. But then I had a hint, and then I started setting some traps, and actually I caught 4 mice with two little mouse traps in one night. So I had quite a few mice in there, and I set 2 traps, put them downstairs, and snap in about 10 minutes, and then I set it again, and another 2 mice, and then I had them. Well, what am I going to do with the mice? Well, I put them out, and soon enough I had an owl coming. Then the insects started coming, and of course there'd be flies, blowflies, but then I got really interested in a burying beetle that mimics a bumblebee when it flies. It looks just like a bumblebee, like yellow, but then when it lands, you see red. So it's got a color change almost instantly. From flying, it's yellow, and it lands, it's red. then I found out that that what happens when it lands, it flips its elytra, its wing covers over, and it shows the bottom part, which is yellow, and which is hidden otherwise. So it looks like a bumblebee when it flies, but the red is kind of, I think, a warning coloration or something when it's down on the ground. So, you know, a lot of insects are brightly colored that warns animals learn, you know, it's poisonous or doesn't taste good. And I certainly wouldn't want to eat these carrion beetles. Probably the birds don't either. And then they bury it. And so right now I got little markers there where the beetle had buried it. And I'm just...
They buried the mouse?
Yeah, they bury the mouse.
What?
Yeah, one beetle can bury a mouse. And so I keep track, and I could see, you know, I got lots of nice iPhone pictures, and so it's a beautiful story about these beetles that bury mice, and then they lay their eggs in them. But by burying them, they have to do it fast, so the flies don't lay all their eggs in it, and the maggots eat it all up. So there's big selective pressure to bury that thing quickly, but it takes them a few hours. But you know, they could dig a hole right there and bury it, and so I got interested in those. I had worked with them before. I wouldn't say played with them before, but there are a lot of things that were left out that, you know, and I didn't have so many mice as I do now that I can play with them.
What do you personally get out of this sort of play and observation?
Well, it's like a game, you know, a puzzle. You know, some people do this in the paper, get words. You know, but here is something that is kind of universal. You know, it's nature. It's not just something that somebody makes up. So I like the real thing, that, you know, that it's not just made up, but that's actually happening. And it usually comes, it is always the unexpected, and that's what makes it beautiful to me. And that's what I'm working on a book, you know, what is beauty, you know. And I remember, you know, instances when I was really young, when I was totally enamored by something, and it was always the things that I couldn't understand, and so that still continues, and there's always so much. There's always something that we don't understand, and they keep showing up all the time. And I've been here now, you know, for quite a few years, and all the time I find something new.
So you're working on a book about the beauty of nature right now, and it includes a lot of your illustrations. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you're not just a writer, you also are an artist.
You know, the drawings, watercolors I've done are pretty much all about nature topics, and it relates to, I think, pretty much trying to preserve something so that you can remember it, and keep it as a memory, and good memories are nice to have. The first watercolor I ever did, somebody put a brush and paint into my hand, and I painted a beetle, and that was kind of like preserving it. And later on, that's one of the reasons why I really like photography too. But then the painting, you know, came on top of that, with picking out the specifics that I really liked, and having to really look closely and seeing things that I might not see before. I mean, my owl and the ravens. When I see the pictures of them, then you know they come back. The memory is refreshed, and so otherwise it would gradually fade away. But there's a reminder all the time, and I have so I have that with me.
Have you ever had an overarching goal with your writing or your teaching? Something you're trying to accomplish with your body of work?
Well, writing involves a lot of learning. It's not just what I know I have to find out, and so it's kind of a painting as well with words, and it's a keeping of it as well. So the two go pretty much together for me, the painting and the images that come up from the words. And yeah, it's a way of retaining and not letting it go away. I look back and I can feel the enchantment. And with regard to drawing, I remember the first beetle that I drew, and I was enchanted that I did this. It wasn't the best, and actually when I finished my PhD at UCLA, I remember I spent the day doing a watercolor of that beetle that I first did when I was a kid, because I said that's what helped me.
So you've always been interested in nature?
I don't know why, but it started very early, and influence was from my father, and it definitely was not just from nature. I mean, from drawings and books, and if I had seen movies at that time, there would have been, or even interviews. But the thing is, it passes on to something else. So it starts, and I have the early memories of him, my father, taking me out, and I would in the pit traps we had, and I'd find beetles, and he would tell me about them, what they were, and the point was that even little contact was important, little encouragement. So he pointed, to them, and said that these are caribous, and he got the name. And I think here was a little kid. We went to the museum, and I was citing the Latin names of these beetles, and they were just amazed, because that wasn't normal, but so obviously I had a childhood that wasn't exactly normal, because I was out there in the woods trapping mice and catching beetles and chasing bees and whatnot, and looking for birds' nests. I really like to see birds' nests and get to know the birds from that. Of course, I was also shooting them with a slingshot, but because he was collecting birds and selling them, and so I had all these various, not just one avenue for getting interested in nature. There was art, and there was contact in all different ways to show that it was important.